Do you dream of writing a novel? When you feel the urgency to write a novel, you aren't making it up. When that urgency won't let go, there's a reason. Turn your readers into raving fans. Reveal the power of your voice and your story. Writing is an act of courage, and you have what it takes. How to Write a Novel That Sells by Lana McAra will take you across the finish line. Visit howtowriteanovelthatsells.net and take that powerful next step now.
Welcome to the Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McAra, where you will discover tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Here you'll find new energy, new perspectives, new resources, and new ideas that will spark your creativity into a blaze of brilliance. It's easier than you think. Be sure you visit our website at www.fictionwriterspodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, get out your notebook, tune in, and let's get started.
Do you work a day job and then try to write at night and on the weekends? That's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Lana McAra, and welcome to the Fiction Writers Podcast. Tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Today, I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast Sandy Lender. Sandy is a construction magazine editor by day and the author of Girl Power fantasy novels by night. Living in Florida to help with sea turtle conservation and parrot rescue, she has a 4-year degree in English and a 30-year career in publishing. Sandy's successes include 21 traditionally and self-published novels, hundreds of magazine articles, multiple short stories in competitive anthologies, a handful of technical and creative writing awards, a Pushcart Prize nomination in 2020, and, wow, the 2023 Michael Nost Wings Award. There's always something brewing with Sandy Lender Inc. headquarters, where some days you just want the dragon to win. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited about this topic because my day job was homeschooling 7 children. How did I ever manage?
Keep you busy, yes.
Thank God, exactly. Yeah, we lived in the Caribbean. We lived in a third world country. And we had a coop of chickens in the backyard and a banana plantation behind the house. And we lived in a grove of mango trees. So that was our life, back in the day, which I wasn't living. I had no microwave. I had no hot water. I had all those inconveniences and yet managed to write. So how do you do it? You are working an actual job. So tell us how that works.
Well, homeschooling kids is an actual job. That's shaping the future right there, right? So I work the Asphalt magazine. That's what I do. I'm an editor of an Asphalt magazine. I do that during the day, and I work from home. And that is such a blessing and thank goodness I get to work from home, because I can roll out of bed in the morning. And if I want to just dive straight into work for a couple of hours, I can do that. I don't have to, get out of the pajamas. I can just go straight to the computer and do some work and get some stuff knocked out. And then tend to the chickens in the backyard, chickens too, and take care of the parrots that I have here in the house. I do have some rescue parrots that I tend to, do a couple of things like during a coffee break. I can do that and then get back to the day job. So I'm doing the day job 40 plus hours a week, but I'm doing it on my own time. It's like flex time. And so that really, it frees up my brain. It lets my brain do what it needs to do for the day job when my brain can do it. Right. And so it's like I've trained my brain to, okay, during the day, when the sun's out, I'm thinking about asphalt. I can go into my den where I work on the asphalt job, and I'm very serious, and everything is very factual and very technical and fact-based, right? And here's how to pave an asphalt road. Here's how to make an asphalt mix design, right? That kind of very technical stuff. So I've trained my brain to do that in that den, in that room. And then when I come out of that room, I can go into this fantasy world. I can go into the realm of writing about, dragons or dragons in space or vampire satire. I can go into that other realm, that other brain space in other parts of the house at other times of the night or the weekends. That's how I've
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
fractured it.
Yeah, you compartmentalized. And that's exactly what I used to do when I was in homeschooling mode. I was in totally 100%. But then when it was writing time, 100% in writing time as well. And now today I ghostwrite. And so when I'm ghostwriting, it's the same thing. I'm focused on that. I can see how you would love to write about dragons after dealing with asphalt all day.
Yeah, all that technical stuff all day. It does. I really enjoy the asphalt industry and that technical stuff. It's intriguing to me, right? I enjoy it. I dig it. But I do like to, take that break from it and just go into, a fantasy realm and just think about these characters who are in the back of my brain saying, okay, tonight we want to kill someone off tonight. This character, we want to get rid of him. That's just intriguing to me, right? So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
totally different.
Odd moments, those thoughts go through your mind. I wonder what kind of trouble I can put them in now.
Exactly. Yes.
So you had like a curveball with illness that added to it. So how did you, and this is a story of resilience, Sandy. I mean, real resilience. So tell us a little bit about how you dealt with that. Did you continue writing?
Oh, yes, definitely. Because I've wanted to write since I was a little girl, right? When I was like 8 years old, I was writing little stories for my great-grandmother, and she would share those stories with the other ladies in her apartment building. I've always wanted to write. So when I did, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, right? It's the type of cancer they know how to cure. They can fix it, right? So I was very fortunate when the doctor found that's what I had. He's like, "You're the luckiest person who's walked into my office today." Like, all right, let's do it. So that was, it was a setback in that there's still a protocol you've got to go through. You still got to do the chemo, right? You still got to do this radiation thing afterward. There was still that mess you have to do, but I could still do my job and I could still write on the side. I still had that happening. And I recall, I didn't want to be the weakest link in the chain at my job. I didn't want to be seen as, oh, Sandy's sick, so she's substandard now. I didn't want to be seen that way. I still wanted to be strong and effective at my job as the editor of the magazine. So I can recall sitting in the chair at the oncologist's office, and they're putting the you have a port put into under the skin so that they can get the chemo into you more easily. And I remember sitting there in that chair, and the poison is going into me, and I'm on the phone with a contractor because I've got to interview this person and get the story done because I refused to be the weak link in the chain for my job. And I think that is where the resilience came in. I was still going to write my stories. I was still going to have that going on the side, but I was very, very focused on keeping my career going, keeping that career alive. Very much so. Because that's what pays the bills, right? You can't lose the day job while you're trying to survive. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how well do I understand that? Yeah. I was a single woman. I'm supporting myself with this. And yes, absolutely. We just keep on going. But the creativity, were you able to write your novels at all during that time?
Mm-hmm. I found myself writing a lot of poetry at that time. I mean, poetry lets you just express, right? You just get so many feelings and emotions out through poetry. I feel I can do that. And so I was writing a lot of poetry at that time. I did at that time have the third book in the Choices trilogy on tap. I was finishing off the third book during that. It was a pretty dark period because when I recovered from the first bout with Hodgkin's, it did recur. And I was like, doggone it, I thought you could cure this, right? Why do I have to do it again? Well, so we had to go through it again. There was a different protocol, and I had to go to Moffitt Cancer Center and be in a clean room, and I didn't like it. So I was in a dark place. I I wasn't mentally great at that point, right? Psychologically, I was just feeling kind of down. And the book took a very dark turn, and I could see it. And I saw things happen in the book that weren't real, that weren't right. The characters were doing things they shouldn't be doing. They were acting out of character. So I had to fix that, and I had to go back and revamp some things and refurbish it, I guess you would say, before I sent it to the publisher and the editor to work on. So there was a delay in that series. There was delay in the trilogy because of what I was going through.
But you still completed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had people, the second book in the trilogy is called Choices Meant for Kings. And at the end of Choices Meant for Kings, there's a cliffhanger. I had people contact me and like, hey, just in case you don't make it, what happens? Like, you guys, I'm going to make it. It's going to be fine. Just relax. The book will be out soon.
Oh, that's
I just
so
have to
cool.
fix the book because I made it a little too dark. Yeah.
We got to know the ending. We just cannot not know the ending.
Yeah. You left us on a cliffhanger. How dare you?
Yeah. Oh, that is so funny. But I'm sure when the book came out, they were snapping it up as quick as they could.
Yeah. Well, and this is a word of caution for authors out there. If you leave too long between those books, you lose your audience. And I really did. I could tell there was a break in there because the first book came out in 2007. The second book came out in 2009. And then the third book didn't come out until I think it was 2015. That's a big jump. Okay. That's a long time. But, what could we do?
Life happens.
Yeah.
It does. Yes. I got a divorce in 2009 and wasn't able to write for 5 years. And then I went to ghostwriting.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time since I had my first novel out, which it's out now. Thank God. I'm so glad. But yeah, life happens. Life happens. And we just keep on going. But that is the thing. We keep on going.
Exactly.
So how did you handle, what about family? I know family can be a downer, if they are not really tracking with you, and what you have your vision of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excuse me. Early on when I was writing, as a teenager especially, I had, I guess, pushback from like my parents. They really wanted to encourage me to get a good job and a good career, which I have now, and I'm very thankful. They saw the writing that I was doing as a distraction and not a good one. Okay. They really wanted me to stop that. They wanted to discourage that creative writing and that, that being in a fantasy realm all the time, they saw that as a very negative thing. And they discouraged that strongly. Their goal for me was, okay, let's get really good grades in high school so you can get into a really good college program so you can get a really good job and support yourself. And I call that, in the Capture Your Dream book that I've written, I call that the college compromise because, I see now as an adult that it was really smart for me to focus on, okay, let's get into college, let's get a degree that I can use, which I did. And thank goodness I did, right? Because now I have a job that I really enjoy and I really like, and I can support myself while I have this dream on the side, the writing on the side. Now, that's not to say that my family has never encouraged me, because like I said earlier, my great-grandmother, she used to read my stories to people in her apartment building. And my Aunt Bee, she was an English teacher, and she loved the fact that I wanted to write. She thought that was great. So I did have that encouragement going. It's just, boy, sometimes if you find someone in your family or in your life who's saying to you, this is not a good idea, or you shouldn't be doing this, well, let's look at that. Let's take that with a grain of salt and let's say, okay, maybe they have some other best interest going on here. Maybe there's a college compromise. Maybe there's a career compromise. Maybe there's something they're saying that you can like morph and shift. Maybe there's a way to incorporate some of what they're saying. And yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Compromise, make it all work out.
Yes, absolutely. I understand that because it's like being an actor. You say, oh, I'm just going to go and be an actor. And then everybody's like, how are you going to earn a living?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was a teenager in the 80s, right? So in the 80s, we didn't have print on demand. We didn't have small independent publishing houses that could take on, a handful of authors who, maybe weren't getting representation and then getting into, the big five, the big traditional publishing houses. We didn't have that in the 80s. So it was very natural for my parents to look at me and say, oh, look, this is like wanting to be, a baseball star or wanting to be a rock star, right? Wanting to be an actor, like you say. That is a far-fetched dream. Well, in the 80s, it did seem like a far-fetched dream. And so for them to say, you need to get a career was very wise. And I'm glad that I listened to them. Now, today it's so much easier to get something published, and it's so much easier to get in with an indie publishing house or to do it yourself. It's so much easier now to do that and to make your way with it than it was in, the 80s.
Yes, yes. But even at that, earning a living from selling your fiction,
Yeah.
that's still a difficult thing. I was traditionally published and I sold a lot of books. My total sales is 1 million. And that sounds like a lot, and that is a lot, but I never earned enough to make a living, in a particular year. We're talking about stretched out over a lot of years. And my most lucrative year was $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to say 1 year I made 17,000, but that's not a living. That's not a living. I was averaging around 10, and I was doing well for a female romance writer. I was doing very well, but not well enough to earn a living.
Right.
Yes, yes. I listen to a lot of Bob Proctor, and he says that what you do for your passion should be something you love, but then you also have to offer service to make a living. They're not necessarily the same thing. And I think that really does apply to what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And you're writing in your career. You're still, yes.
There was an author when I was first getting started in writing and publishing back in like 2006 and 2007. There was a romance author named Rowena Cherry. And she used to say, I'm not just selling a book, I'm selling an experience, I'm selling entertainment, I'm selling, a quality product. You could go to the movies and you could spend $10 there. This is back in 2006, right? You could spend $10 at the movie theater and you only get, 2 hours of entertainment. Whereas if you buy one of her books for $10, you're going to get many hours of entertainment and you can go back to it. And she was selling a service in that way, just like what you're saying there from Mr. Proctor. She was selling a service in her books. And I liked the way she marketed that and the way she presented that to her audience or to prospective customers.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's so important that we look at our writing as a form of a business. It might be a side hustle, but it still is a business. We have customers and we have customer service and we have these experiences that we're offering and we do marketing. We do all the things that a business does, but we do it for love.
Yes.
Yeah. And they do it for love too, because they love what we write. So talk about marathon writing for a moment. What is marathon writing?
Okay. Yeah. I love marathon writing. Yes. I tell you what, there are many different marathons and creative marathon writing contests and just experiences out there that writers can tap into. And when I discovered marathon writing, it boosted my productivity like you wouldn't believe. I'm trying to remember, I should have written this down right before I came here. I'm trying to remember the first year that I did the International 3-Day Novel Contest. But it was exhilarating. It was wonderful. You start typing at midnight on Friday and you just type your story. It's a brand new idea is what you come in with, and you type until midnight on Monday. And at the end of it, you send that manuscript to judges to look at. I mean, you had this raw, horrible, awful manuscript full of typos and errors and grammar problems and everything, probably plot holes you can drive a truck through, right? And you send that to a judge and they judge it and then they send back notes to you. I mean, it's the most frightening thing you can do as an author, right? It's wonderful. It's exhilarating. I loved it. And so I did it the next year and the next year and the next year. And what I did with that experience, though, is I took that raw, awful, terrible manuscript and a couple of months later went back to it and I fixed it and added stuff and did stuff with it. And a publisher at Night Wolf Publishing published it. And it's the first book in my Dragons in Space series. And that's how I got the Dragons in Space series off the ground, is because of marathon writing. And so now I am a proponent for marathon writing. I always tell authors, man, if you can do a marathon, do it. It's exhilarating and it's wonderful. And so I teach classes now. I do workshops on how to prepare ahead of a marathon, whether you're going to do one for 3 days or a 24-hour one, how to prepare for different ones and get yourself ready for it. They're wonderful. It forces you to sit down, get your butt in the chair, and get your fingers on the keyboard and spew the words out. It forces you to do it. And at the end of it, you've got something you can work with. Mm-hmm.
That is such a wonderful idea. I did not know they went through the night, like they're a 72-hour sprint.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And at the end of it, you're just exhausted. Now, yeah. I do sleep during these things. I mean, I could not stay awake for 70. I'm 54 years old now. I can't stay awake like that. That's something you do in college, right? 72 hours of staying awake. But I will set alarms for when, to wake myself back up, and I'll sleep for like 2 hours here, 4 hours there. But I'll just type for like the entire weekend. And I have everything set up to where, to feed, my pets and stuff, I'll have everything set up. So all I have to do is like dump their food in the bowl and get back to typing, because it's just exhilarating to do. And I want to get as much typing time in as I can and get all that story out as best I can in the time allotted to me.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Well, that is very inspiring, thinking about doing something like that, because when it's a scheduled event, just like you said, you prepare, right? You get everything and you sequester. You tell everyone, I'm doing the marathon. You can't call me, and cancel everything else and just focus on that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone knows it's the 3-day novel contest, the International 3-day Novel Contest that's sponsored by Anvil Press out of Canada. It happens over Labor Day weekend. So everyone in my life knows that Labor Day weekend, Sandy's just missing in action. You're not going to get an answer out of her on the phone. Nothing. Sandy's just missing. And I even put a sign up on my front door so that my neighbors don't bother me. I mean, if you knock on this door, no one's going to answer. It's not going to happen. So everyone knows over that weekend, Sandy's just missing. She's typing. She's
MIA.
Her little zone.
MIA for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I just got turned on to write-ins, where we write for 2 hours on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And I got so much done that I was actually looking for more things to do before the time was up. It was amazing. So I started doing write-ins once a month for my class, my students in my class. And it has been absolutely phenomenal. We don't really talk. We say, hey, how you doing? And get to work. And 2 hours later, okay, see you guys later. Bye. That's it.
And it's great. I love that. There is a gal, I participate in the Imaginarium convention every July, and there's a gal from that convention named Morgan Hazelwood, and she does a live stream on YouTube every Sunday afternoon, and it's a write-in. The productivity stream is what she calls it. And they do writing sprints, like 20-minute sprints at a time, like an hour and a half. And, they'll talk a little bit and, catch up on what's going on in the writing industry and with one another. And then they sprint for 20 minutes and come back and talk about, okay, what'd you get done? What are you working on? And then another 20-minute sprint. And I've not been able to participate like every single weekend. I have so many other things happening. But when I do get to participate in that writing sprint time with her, it's really productive. I agree with you. If an author can get some time in one of those types of groups like what you have, that is amazing. Because really, you're focused for 2 hours like you have, or for 20 minutes like Morgan has. you're focused and you're with a group of people who are not really holding you accountable, but working on it with you. It's a group activity of let's get this done. I love it.
Yes, it's shared energy.
Yes.
Shared focus. Yeah. One of my students is retired and her husband's retired. And I could see in the background where her husband comes to the door holding his cup of coffee, and she got up and pushed him out the door and closed the door. And I'm thinking, there's one interruption. She has a reason to not do right now. He understands she's on a call. And so she said to me, if I could just keep him out of my office, I'd get a lot more done. And the write-in gives her a reason to do that. So yeah, focus time it's priceless.
Yeah.
So what is a dragon score?
Oh, the dragon score. This is where collaboration comes in, with other authors. I put together my Capture Your Dream business book. It's a motivational business book. And I reached out to a businessman who spoke at World of Asphalt for the day job and said, hey, I've written this book. Would you look at it? Would you go through it and, give me some pointers? And he did. He was very kind. He went through it. He looked at it and he's like, you have something here that no one else has. This dragon concept, this capture your dream and build up your dragons. No one else has that. No other business book does. Lean into it. And we talked on the phone for a little bit and he said, you need a scoring system, a dragon score. And so I give all the credit to him for the dragon score. He's the one who said, you need a dragon score. So there is in, chapter 10, there is a way for people to figure out their dragon personality type and come up, and figure out their score based on some questions I've given them. And I've assigned, 1 through 10 for how they answer these questions about, their skills, how they use their skills, how they approach projects. So they can figure out, okay, am I a shoulder dragon, which comes from my Gentle Dragon series? Am I a warrior dragon, which comes from my Choices series? Am I a giant dragon? The different types of dragons that I have in my different series. I've assigned them their own characteristics. And I've come up with this dragon score that people can figure out, okay, how do I approach a project? What skills can I use in the projects that I'm doing for my side hustle, for my dream? Yeah.
Wow, that is such a great idea. So that is right in the novel, or is that on your website, or how do you do that?
It is in the book. I mean, I put it right in chapter 10, which I'm not going to be able to just pull up to it. Anyway, in chapter 10, I've got it in there where there are questions that you look at the question, you think about it, and you rate it 1 through 10. And you can write in there with a pen in the book. But I also put it on my website because he suggested having it online. Now, I am technically challenged. I don't know what widget to use to, and how to put that widget on my site yet. Working on that. But I want to have it so that it will tally up the numbers for the person on my site. Right now, it's just here it is and write it down on your own piece of paper and figure it out yourself. You tally up the numbers yourself on your own piece of paper, but the questions and the prompts and the information is on my website too. So people could go and do their dragon score on my website for free right now. They could do that. They don't have to read the book. They're not going to know what they're doing, but they don't have to read the book to go do that and come up with their dragon score and figure out their dragon personality type for pursuing their dreams.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that is a nonfiction book about pursuing your dreams. Give us the title again.
It's Capture Your Dream, and the subtitle is Stack Real World Goals, Develop Your Dragons, and Thrive Beyond the 9 to 5.
Okay.
So this is for people like you and me. We had the day job, but we want to do that extra on the side, that part that is a passion on the side.
Yes, absolutely. So helpful. And I just love the fact that you have taken some of your life experience in this arena and made a book out of it to help other people. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, there are so many folks out there in my sphere. I mean, I talk to writers all the time. I mean, with my BookTube channel, with the Imaginarium, I'm talking to writers all the time. And so many of us have a day job to survive. And we've got to find a way to, put blocks of time aside and chunk our goals and chunk our time to do this writing on the side, to write screenplays on the side, to make art on the side. I mean, that creative endeavor on the side, boy, it does take time, right? But we make the time for it. And so I talked about that in the book. I'm like, here's how we're doing it. And if you're new to that idea, even if you're not new to that idea, here are some ideas. Here's some anecdotes. Here's some stories. Here's some lessons to help figure it out.
Yes. We need reasons in this day and age. We have so many distractions. We're distracted all day long. And even when we're not working, we're distracted. We need reasons to focus in and get all that done. So do you ever do collaborations?
Oh, yes. Well, like I mentioned, the Dragon Score idea, Ed Wallace is the businessman who, he read through the original manuscript that I had, and he had those ideas. And that kind of collaboration is, I feed off of that energy, right? When you can collaborate with someone like that. The foreword in this book is from an author friend of mine named Kimberly Hoffman. She is a children's writer on the side, but her day job, she's in the construction industry. Okay. And so I contacted her. I'm like, hey, would you be willing to look at this? And if you like what's in here, would you write a foreword for me? And she's like, I will definitely do that. So that kind of collaboration was happening for this book to come together. I have a couple of gentlemen whose their stories are in this book. They're not creative. Well, maybe I shouldn't say they're not creative. They're creative people, but they have developed side hustles in the asphalt industry, and they've come up with innovations in the asphalt industry on the side. So I've told their stories in this book too. And so working with them and collaborating with them was energizing in putting this book together. I'm the editor of the first Marathonarium anthology, which was a marathon writing session that I gave at the Imaginarium convention. What we did is for 3 hours, everyone in the room wrote a short story. At the end of the 3 hours, they turned their story into me, and I was the editor of this anthology. And that kind of collaboration is exciting. I dig it when we can do that kind of collaborating as creative people, because we're energizing one another, and we're encouraging one another, and we're creating something cool at the end.
Yeah, so you have a book to hold in your hand at the end of it.
Yes, exactly.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Wow, you have so many creative ideas. This has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much, Sandy. So what's next for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have a Christmas book coming up in my vampire satire series, and I have collaborated with an editor on that one. I sent that off to a gentleman to help me with some of the content of it. I wasn't pleased with it. I wanted to release it in 2024. It is not ready. I sent it to him, like, help me. And so he collaborated with me, and he helped me with some ideas and showed me where's a plot hole that you can drive a truck through? We're going to fix that. And so he helped me with fixing some things. So that's coming up next. I'm going to have that thing out the door this year. That is a goal. So that's coming for sure.
Okay. So when you're ready, let me know, and we'll do another episode about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that would be probably best to record that maybe in the fall, because it takes a month or two to get an episode produced after we do it. So when you have a date, just let me know, and we'll put you in the calendar so we can get the episode out for your launch. That would be so fun.
Oh, I appreciate that. I will keep that in mind and let you know.
Awesome. So give us your website. I know it's going to be in the show notes and everything, but go ahead and give us your website again.
Okay. Folks can find me at authorSandyLender.com. That's the main site where all the things connect from there.
Author Sandy Lender, LENDER.com. Sandy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for hosting me today.
And thank you for being with us today. Please don't forget to subscribe. And if you love the channel, leave us a review. See you next time. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning into the Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McAra, where we share tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Remember to visit our website at www.fictionwriterspodcast.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Fiction Writers Podcast.